Hello, hello, everyone. It's been a little bit of a hot minute since we've put out a video. And although Jason is still by my side, he is not by my side today. He's at work, and I instead have a wonderful guest with us, Dr. Jodie Lockey Duesling. Did I get that right?
Hello. You did get that right. Good job.
Good. Jodie's a friend of mine. She's also a neighbor. She's also a doctor of psychology. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And we have both been on similar journeys, and it's kind of nice when you have a friend in your corner that has a degree and can give you helpful advice when you're in the sticky chrysalis of becoming a butterfly. The last few months has seen me in a really dark place with a lot of inner child healing. I've had some veils ripped away from my eyes in the last year, and I've had a lot to kind of really just sit with and like really ego death, and then coming back out now. And thank God spring is here. But
Yes.
I actually channeled a message from my guides a long time ago, like before Christmas. I was originally going to put this segment out, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't muster the energy. I just didn't have it in me. And I'm, you know what? Now that we're here in April and the sun is shining and the snow is gone, it finally feels like the right time. So I want you, Jodie, just to kind of introduce yourself and tell us who you are and whatever you want to say. And then we'll talk about, I'll read the channeling, and then we'll just chat about how this whole wounded inner child thing is so important to our ascension process. So
Oh,
take it away,
yes.
Jody.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. A little bit about me. I'm an integrative trauma therapist. I work primarily with attachment wounds, inner child work, trauma, all of the things that each of us have. There's not one of us that I've ever met that does not have that.
Yeah.
It just always depends whether we have it in our conscious self yet or not, and whether we've, processed or looked at any of these pieces. But I like to blend kind of neuroscience and somatic work and trauma work and the Eastern and Western healing practices. And so I'm mind, body, and soul. I don't think you can separate one from the other. And
No.
so attachment wounds is such an important topic for me, both personally and professionally. As you mentioned, like I've been through the process as well, still going through it. I mean, I think it's a lifelong piece, truly. But I know when that veil is kind of ripped thinner and you see things in a different consciousness level and you see things, where sometimes we're leaning more on the left side of the pendulum, which is really from an attachment wound component. And then, the right side is looking at us as being that strong, independent, protecting self part of us. And then we really want to find somewhere in the middle that
Yeah.
carries both pieces. And so hopefully will help, or this conversation today will help other people kind of move through that.
Oh,
Hello.
we have some visitors. Sorry.
Visitors are great for nervous system regulation, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah, especially when they're barking in your ear.
Okay, they might also be dysregulating too.
Yeah. Yeah. For the most part, they are very calming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good. All right. So yeah, so we're going to get into it here. We're going to get into, why so many people right now and over the last few years and over the coming years are going to be having these wicked aha moments about their childhood. And, I know personally there was a lot of illusions that I drew around my childhood. And right up until last year, I would have told you I had like a Disneyland childhood. And I actually have said that on so many occasions in the past.
Yeah.
And I, so I'm still sitting here in a little bit of shock going, holy cow, even though I saw this over here, I seem to just keep pushing it out and not really dealing with it, right? It was all the rainbows and sunshine and happiness that I needed to see and have. And so before I channel anything, can you explain to me what that what that illusion building is? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's protective in nature, right? So, attachment wounds are essentially like emotional injuries formed really early on. So, like, there's even literature about it being in utero. So, it can be as young. Most people don't have memory to most of it as well. That's the other piece. So, like, we're looking at 4 and under during those really formative years. These injuries kind of form and then continue to, and then they are also reinforced in society and other systems and relational pieces too, but they're essentially caused by like unmet needs of safety, attunement, comfort, connection. And it's not to say that parents intentionally did this or wanted to do that. We're talking about, imperfect beings that we are that also have dealt with intergenerational trauma. And so there's lots of reasons to why, this happens. It's not about shaming necessarily, but it is about looking at the reality of it.
Yeah.
And really, what this young child's nervous system learns is that it's not safe to need or trust. And that gets stored somatically in the body, in the mind, in the soul. And so, they form really early, and then the child forms a psyche, right? And the psyche looks at protective parts to keep us safe. And it forms all of these protective parts to do that. And they're very survival oriented. But the problem is that we carry these forever in life, right? Until we look at them like people pleasing and fawn responding and controlling things and hypervigilance and inner critic or perfectionism, detached parts. Like we form all these protective parts to help us survive, and they stay with us until we're willing to look at them. And so you're right that I'm seeing a huge collective response of people looking at this in the last year, but more so in the last few months, tremendously.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot more to come. So
Yeah, there
you
is.
might need to hire help, Jody.
Yes, right?
um yeah, and it's interesting too because all of those trauma responses become like what seems like personality traits,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The controlling, the hyper clean, like hyper cleanliness, like there's
Hmm.
there's the people who are either hyper filthy or hyper
Yep.
clean, or there's kind of both ends. And
Yeah.
um so what I have found really interesting is figuring out who I am underneath all the trauma responses, and who am I without that story and without the
Mm.
stories that my mind created to explain away the behavior in my home, right?
Yes.
Um so yeah, but before we get any further in, because I can feel myself already like digging in here, I'm going to read this channeling because this is kind of this is the spiritual uh the way that they look at it from the other side, or from our quantum perspective. So I will read this. It's a few pages. Hang in there with me. um you are witnessing something extraordinary right now, and your heart knows it even before your mind does. Star seeds in dysfunctional families aren't simply waking up, they are activating on schedule. And you are watching it happen in real time, like fireworks going off across a dark sky. Here's the higher truth behind what you're seeing. In every wounded family system, in every lineage riddled with trauma, in every generational line where emotional suppression was the norm, a starseed is born as the breaker, the healer, the seer, the frequency shifter, and the one who says, "This ends with me." But here's the magic you're witnessing now. They're waking up together, across many families, across many continents, across many soul groups. It's a synchronized activation, like seeds that were planted at different times, in different soils, in different climates, and suddenly, all at once, they sprout. Because the Earth's frequency has reached a point where the starseed programming inside them can finally unlock. You're not imagining it, you're not exaggerating it, it's really happening. Why dysfunctional families produce star seeds? Because star seeds incarnate into the place where the density is the thickest. They choose the wounds, the chaos, the neglect, the emotional volatility, not as punishment, but because that is where the clearest doorway for generational transformation exists. They arrive like quiet bombs of light, waiting for the exact energetic moment to detonate into awakening. I love the way they talk. And right now, boom, 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 they're going off everywhere. They're smiling because this is exactly what we came to Earth to help steward. You and I kind of went through this, yeah. And you're noticing it now because it's new. Or, sorry, and you're noticing it not because it's new, but because you're finally at the vibrational level to see it clearly. My dad pops in here and says, Kiddo, this is why your life looked the way it did. You had to live the trauma to become the one who could decode it for others. And then my buddy Yeshua says, the wounded healers rise first, and when they rise, they lift others without trying. And then Archangel Michael chimes in with, this is only the beginning. You will see many more awakenings in the next 6 months. The reason you love watching this magic unfold, because you are part of it. You're not just observing the awakening, you're amplifying it. Your field, your voice, your channel, your clarity, your healing, your courage, your boundary work, and your transformation are all sending ripples that trigger awakening in the star seeds around you. This is the real magic, and you are one of the catalysts. And that goes for anybody who's listening to this. If you're listening to this, you're one of the catalysts, or you're starting this journey and you need a catalyst to hold your hand through it. But yeah, interesting, eh? Interesting the
Oh, that was
revelations
beautiful.
that are happening both in the world and in our own hearts and homes.
So much so. Yeah. A
Yeah,
huge collective shift.
totally.
Yeah.
So take me down the rabbit hole because this is so passionate for you.
Oh yeah.
It,
I've built
it's passionate
my
for
whole
both of
piece on it.
us.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the attachment wound is the interesting part, right? Because it's, it impacts us for life until we decide to face it, change it, until our nervous system has capacity to sit with it. But it's a basic human need to feel connected, to feel attuned, to feel comforted, to feel safe. And
Mm-hmm.
most of us have had times in our life that we didn't feel like that. And we fragment into these parts, right? And these parts separate us or disconnect us, disembody us from our like true core centered self. And that's why we care, because that's the part that, we continue operating from the wound. So this is where those protective parts I mentioned, they take control because it senses danger. It's a threat response for the brain to not have connection.
Yeah.
So even if the danger is emotional, imagined, fear scripts, all of those pieces. And it's as simple as, someone says something to you that's constructive, you interpret it as criticism, your shame wound activates, and then you attack yourself, right? I'm
Yeah.
the worst. I can't believe I do this. What's wrong with me? That reaction is old, but it feels current. So it's present today, but it's actually not just this scenario impacting you. It's that wound being poked from hundreds of thousands of experiences where you felt rejection or
Yep.
unworthy or abandoned. And that shame, that guilt, that fear perpetuates. And the core beliefs that we've been conditioned to carry, because we were conditioned a lot, perpetuate those. And so that's like, I feel shame because I choose to believe I have to be perfect all the time. How many people are walking around believing they have to be perfect all the time? Everybody.
Yep.
But yet, humans by nature aren't perfect beings. We're not supposed to be. We're here to evolve, to ascend, to learn, to grow, to
To
shift.
make
And so,
mistakes.
to
Yep.
make and really, like, what's the difference between a mistake and, a lesson? It's what you do with it. It's what, do we transmute our pain and our suffering with grace and compassion for ourselves, for others, with learning service of others, with learning service of self, for those of us, especially starseeds, that have to learn service of self.
Yeah.
We can't simply know those things without having a mirror to see that we have to learn that.
Yeah.
So there's,
Yeah.
so many different components of it.
Yeah. So I know there's probably people watching this going, yeah, but my upbringing was fine. It was fine. I was taken care of. I had a warm roof over my head and I had food and my parents took me to brownies and they took me to whatever hockey or whatever you did.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it was fine. But but yet I don't feel fine. And it's like, okay, so again, we all have veils. We all do not see
Yeah.
always the deeper truth because again, our psyche protects us from it.
Hmm.
And I've had conversations with people who did not consider that unless they were being beaten,
Hmm.
It wasn't
Oh yeah.
abuse, right?
That's a
Unless
core
there was
belief.
bruises, it wasn't abuse.
Hmm.
And I beg to differ, and I know that you're, everybody in the psychology world begs to differ, and that's the thing. But there's still this, everybody's still sweeping it under the carpet because they don't think it's affecting them now. They think, oh, I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to think about it or look at it because I don't want to be a victim. And my parents didn't know any better. And that is all true. And we're not here to vilify parents. We're here to shine a light on why your
Yeah.
personality is the way it is, why your life isn't working the way you think it should have or should be.
Hmm.
And it's because these responses are ingrained from childhood, and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you were beaten. It
No. In fact, it's
so
not usually
emotional
that.
neglect.
Hmm.
And then you get people going, oh, but they hugged me all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, but did they listen? Did they really listen? Were your problems important, or were you dismissed? Were you silenced? Were like subtle but really powerful?
Yeah. The nature of invalidation. And I'll give
Yep.
an example of how little it can be for the psychological psyche, right? That forms. So I could go to my parent and say, I'm really nervous about my test tomorrow. And they could say, Oh, you'll be fine. You're always fine. Their intent is compassion, is feeling like they know I'm fine. They know I usually get a good grade, so they tell me you'll be fine. But what I learn from that, what my psyche learns from that is I can't trust my own intuition. I can't trust my own emotional state. I can't trust my own anxiety that's coming up. So I learn to override, to suppress, to internalize, to shut down those systems. So I become so disembodied from myself, I don't know who I am. And attachment wounds do not require a bad childhood. It's not that polar, the world doesn't work in polarities. You can come from a stable, loving, safe, normal. I hate that word, but let's just put it there because that's what a lot of people will say. Childhood, never met
Yeah.
anybody or anything like that, but let's just say it's there. That's not what makes them form. What makes them form is emotional attunement. It forms when parents can meet emotional needs, can be a non-reactive witness, can be curious, cannot operate from fear or scarcity-based parenting, which is what we've seen for the majority of any generations really alive now. What we've seen is the majority of it has been through fear-based or scarcity-based parenting. And also parenting that is so burdened with having to function in especially Western society that very few of us can really actually say that we can be as present and attuned as we'd like to be. Even
Hmm.
as a parent myself, I can say that. So fragmentation is a normal survival response, right? And what we might see sometimes is people saying, well, mine was fine. And both you and I have sat in that chair. Both you and I have said that. We've said it to each other. We've said it to others. And at the end of the day, we might think it is fine, but perhaps our nervous system doesn't have capacity yet to look at it, and it waits until it does. So it
Yeah.
waits until we're in safer parts of our life where we are with people maybe that we feel safer with, where our nervous system has more capacity to look at it. And if we can't look at it yet, that's protective in nature too, because it may
Yeah.
not be time yet.
Exactly. And that's in my own circumstances, that's how it happened. Was Jason came along in my life 6 years ago and showed me a completely different version of what love looks like and what patience and kindness and unconditional love looks like. Because tell
Yeah.
me, I've given him a lot of reasons to run scared. And he just keeps hanging in there. And God love him. And so, but that safety that he's provided me, like it basically, for the last 5 years, I've been sitting on the mountaintop. I have been afforded the ability to do that, to really focus on healing, meditation, growth, channeling, tarot, all that stuff. So
And
I
worthy and
got to that
deserving of it.
safe place. I didn't know what was coming after that. But wow, yeah, life is very different now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Happy for you. Worthy and deserving of it. And that's the neural scripting we have to give ourselves. As you know, words carry so much power in what we say and what we script. And so we often have to remind ourselves of how worthy and deserving we are of having safety and attunement and connection and our needs met, and how each, human being deserves that.
yeah. So The reason, and I think I touched on this in the channeling, but I just want to touch on it again. Sorry, is why is this necessary for ascension?
Mm,
Well, you touched on this earlier, like the somatics of it. Our body holds that
yeah.
trauma, bad memories, whatever you want to call it. It holds it in layers in our body. That's where the pain is. That's where the dysfunction is. That's where the disease is. Um, so our bodies are I'm constantly like, oh my God, I hold so much tension in my neck and my back. And I just had a beautiful Reiki treatment to help get rid of it. And she could feel it. Like there's so much in
Yeah.
my heart chakra area from grief. But sorry, I think I have a dog hair stuck to my face. Um,
It's really making you release.
yeah. But the whole point of reintegrating your inner child is and releasing the trauma is so you can bring and embody more of your spirit.
Hmm.
Because really, I mean, we're all walking around with our spirit half hanging out of us because it doesn't want to be here. So it's like, get me out of here. And
Hmm.
what is left is all the density, the shadows, the trauma. And so the more we can like, and it is an energetic thing, we can't see it, but imagine dark clouds kind of just poofing away from your body. That's our dense energy leaving so that we can embody more of our light. And that
Yeah.
is the whole point of ascension. And ascension can't fully happen until we deal with all that stuck energy. So,
Yeah. And the
yeah,
shadow
like, and
part.
yeah, and I am feeling relief in certain areas of my body, and then I'll wake up the next day and a new area will hurt. And it's like, come on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's rapid cycling too, right? So it's like right now I'm noticing more than I've seen ever in 25 years, rapid cycling through layers. So every time a layer comes up, it's an unconscious or subconscious part of ourself that's coming forward. And you might feel like it keeps bringing up the same loops, but it's on purpose because you're doing a different layer of it every time. But for a lot of us in the last month, we are cycling really fast, compression, expansion. So it means it's going back in and dipping into layers to help you expand consciousness so that we're less controlled by those old conditioned patterns and more connected to our authentic self. And what you were speaking about is so true around stagnant emotions and trauma get stuck in our body, in the fascia, in our cells. And
Yep.
quite literally, we have to either mobilize it or we have to let our nervous system descend and drop, and sometimes both at the same time. So if it's like feeling like, big, anxious, urgent energy, we have to move our body to release it. And then we have to meet that with a descending of the nervous system, which gets you out of the activation loop. So it's like dropping your shoulders, dropping everything, letting it all relax, signaling to the body, I am safe, I am here, I am
Yep.
present. This is an old pattern. But as you were saying, so many of us are walking around with such dissonance, right? Like our mind, body, and soul are not cohesive. They are not connected. They are not talking to each other.
Yep.
And that's where we have to do energy work. It's where we have to do somatic work around moving it through the body. And we have to look at our protective parts that were really keeping us safe, but they're no longer supposed to be driving our bus.
Yeah.
And we simply can't expand until we get out of protecting ourselves, until we can release those emotional blockages in order to create that expansion.
And I mean, I think there's a million one ways to, tackle the emotional blockages, but what
Mhm.
are one or two that you suggest?
Yeah, somatic is huge for me. I mean, emotions store in certain parts of the body. So, like when we feel it in our shoulders and back, we're carrying too much. Right? And then if I look at it from the energetic perspective, I look at a lot of our energy channels in our body. So, like our blocked throat chakra is that we're not speaking our truth. We're not getting our truth out. We're not being, maybe it's honest to ourselves. Maybe it's honest to others. Maybe it's having a voice. So, energy work and somatic work are two big ones that I do. And when I used to do therapy and it was totally just psychology based, and I didn't implement the body and the energy, it was missing huge components. So it involves all pieces.
Yeah. Okay. I have two dogs that have just shown up again. So they're both looking at me. I don't know what they want. Um,
I
so
just
I
want to be
got
on
a little
camera.
distracted. Um, yeah, thank God for dogs. What was I gonna say? I ran an inner child, I called it my inner
Yeah.
GPS, inner child reconciliation class the other day. And it was all spiritually based. I did a guided meditation where they, the typical go down the path, meet your inner child, let's talk. What do you need from me? All that stuff. We did a sound bath, we did a cord cutting, we did some talking. Nobody had to talk about anything if they didn't want to, but the results were outstanding. I had 8 people, 9 with Jason because Jason also participated, and 3 of them so far I've heard from have said, like, wow, like, even prior to the class actually happening, they were starting to experience inner child breakthroughs. So it's
Mm.
almost like as soon as they signed up for the class, spirit came in and said, "Okay, you gave us permission. Now we're going to start barfing up memories for you and getting you
Yeah.
prepared for this class so that when you're there, you can have a good release." And yeah, so I'm still getting feedback, and people are, yeah, really excited about it. So, there's a place for, like, I've always thought that spirituality and psychology are very, very almost the same thing, but there's just a little different.
Same thing, different language,
Yep.
right? We call it neural scripting, and then some people call it mantra, some people call it affirmations. If you're looking at Eastern or Western, it's the same concepts, different ways of looking at it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
find what resonates with you, right? That's the biggest piece. You take what resonates with you, you leave behind what doesn't.
Yeah. 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 And it's not about like endlessly talking about,
No,
all the things that hurt you. It's about, okay, how do I release it and move past it and now focus on, who I'm becoming? So, yeah.
it's so
I,
true. And that ascension that you spoke about, it requires integration, right? And in order to integrate, you have to pull forward the different parts of you to know
yeah.
who's leading. And so I'll say sometimes, like, oh, this is my anxious part leading. Okay, I see you, but you don't need to
Yeah.
drive the bus anymore. I'm okay. Right. And when you integrate, that creates inner alignment. And really, when you look at the definition of what alignment is with our mind, body, and soul, it's like it's our higher self, it's our expanded consciousness. It is ascension.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting when we
Sorry.
can, no, that's okay.
Sharp dog bark.
Yeah, when we can look at all these with curiosity, no judgment, right? Just curiosity and compassion and grace for the human experience because this is difficult. It is so hard.
It is. It is hard. I know. I feel like I'm like so distracted by dogs.
Or the spirits are bringing the dogs in on purpose.
Oh, man. Well, she was out on a walk, but then she came back.
There's
She's just
different
that,
fragmented parts of you coming
Tiva.
forward.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like emotionally unstable households when you were growing up.
Mhm.
You're emotionally unstable, Tiva. Go,
She
go.
has attachment wounds.
I know. She was the abandoned dog in Turkey Point, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so like there's all these things that come of these wounds that happen when we're little, and the adults in our life, they may or may not ever acknowledge, and they may not give you the warm fuzzies that you need to get through it, and it's not about going back to them and saying, "Hey, you did this to me," or anything like that, but it is about Tiva. Can you please let down?
She agrees. She knows what it's like.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of abandonment issues, go lie down,
Yes.
Tiva. Uh,
Like a tune with me, Mom. I need a tunement. I'm just supposed to show everybody the real life this in action.
yes. Yeah. So, what was I saying?
Beautiful things about abandonment and
Yeah,
learning these things.
you're the best. Um,
All the
so
beautiful
yeah, it
things.
is, again, it comes down to, we're not looking for apologies from anybody because
Yeah,
chances are you're not going to get it. And if you do, they won't be real.
right.
So, um,
And we don't
there's a
need
lot of,
external.
What's that? Sorry.
We don't need external either. We can internally
No.
heal. We
Go
don't
lie
need the
down.
external cycle to be completed. We can internally complete our own cycles. When you were talking about cord cutting, that's what that reminded me of. Cord cutting,
Yeah.
cords dissolving, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Go lie down. She tests me on a regular basis. um, yeah. So there are there are certain circumstances and where I'm trying to word this carefully. So no contact is a thing, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
When you discover there's been something that you can't
Hmm.
change or undo or fix, and that
Hmm.
situation makes your nervous system all wacky.
Yeah.
um, one of the one of the things is going no contact with people who cause that
Yeah.
for you, right? But with that comes a shitload of guilt and
Yes, it does.
the overwhelming need to want to explain yourself, and yet that is not, you can't, like, it's going to fall on deaf ears, nobody's going to understand.
Yeah.
So I like, what advice is there for that? I mean, that's just something we just got to ride out, I guess. Does it ever go away?
No, I mean, it depends, right? We can't control external things. We can only control internal. And
Yeah.
so what that means is, yeah, sometimes no contact is a protective boundary. When that comes into place, it's never what I jump to, but when somebody doesn't feel safe emotionally and they're triggering old wounds or they're draining your energy or they're blocking your growth or they're having present day chaos or they're, not making space for regulation, they're not listening to what you need. If you change your role and you become more assertive or you say, no, thank you, or I don't want that, or that's not a role that works for me anymore, and they can't meet that with, I mean, they may not like it, but if they can't meet it with, okay, well, I have to respect it to be in your life, then they can't be in your life. And it sucks because none of us want that attachment wise. Like that's actually goes against our basic human needs of in attachment and attunement. However, if it means that we have to do that to stabilize our emotional overwhelm, it's not punishment. It's about safety. It's about clarity. It's about healing our nervous system. If we don't heal our nervous system, we can't do this work, period. So
Yeah.
sometimes if there's emotional instability, we might need to create distance, right? And that will help your nervous system not brace for impact all the time. It helps your protective parts relax. You can think with more clarity around how you feel, how you think, what's allowed. And you can do that without being overwhelmed.
Yeah. And, I still encounter a lot of people out there who still feel a lot of shame around getting a little help from antidepressants or
Yeah.
whatever.
Hmm.
Now, yeah, obviously, I don't really wouldn't, I would love for that not to be a long-term thing,
Hmm.
but I also think it's kind of a bridge.
Sure.
That's the way I see it, as a bridge to get from one side of the healing to the other
Hmm.
without completely losing it and driving your whole family away.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. They're permission slips, right? And everybody's allowed to have permission slips about what helps them. Medication can help with, our neurotransmitters. It can help with deficiencies. A lot of us are deficient in things.
Hmm.
But yeah, there is a lot of internalized shame around needing help. It could be even needing counseling, needing meds, needing whatever it is. And it's like, there is no shame in whatever we need to do to survive this crazy thing called Earth,
Yeah.
and and doing the best that we can at any given time because we do all do the best that we can at any given time. But a lot of it is just really changing those outdated core beliefs that we are still carrying around with us that were programmed in our brain. That's what our brain is it's programmed like a computer. And it's like, why can't I do it myself? What's wrong with me if I can't? What does it mean or what does it signal about myself if I have to go on meds, if I have to go to counseling? What does that say about who I am? And does that mean I'm not strong enough? Like there's still a lot of shame around that. And more less than there used to be for sure, but shame is not helpful. It attacks the self. And it's a default lens for many of us. It activates our nervous system. And ultimately, anytime you're feeling fear, shame, or guilt, you can always check in with yourself that you have a core belief that is outdated that you are carrying around, like the example of the perfection one I gave.
Well, and how about you're just too sensitive?
Well,
You
yes,
need
a
a
lot of us
thicker
star seeds.
skin.
Hmm.
You need to develop a thicker skin. Heard that all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, so those things tend to put you in shame
Oh,
and
yes.
tell you that you're already not good enough the way you are.
Yeah,
So if you have to be, if you have to have help, then you're even weaker, right?
totally.
So that's the core belief there for me.
Me too.
But
I mean,
I'm
many
my
of us
anti.
star seeds.
I needed them. I had to
Yeah.
because and I've been on and off them my whole life, and I never
Yeah.
understood why. I'm like, oh, I'm a happy-go-lucky person, pretty
Hmm.
much, but why do I have this deep,
Yeah.
dark, like sadness that I can't understand?
Yeah.
Well, now I understand, and
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah, that's
that's
so
helpful
great.
too.
Absolutely. And we do hear from a lot of people in this process right now, they are the ones in the families that were told they were too sensitive, too much. Right? Those are very shame-based beliefs and scripts that we've heard our whole lives. And really, like I hear it with neurodivergent people all the time, spiritual neurodivergent, again, call it whatever language you want. But really, all that means is that we are very attuned and sensitive in a beautiful way to everything in our surroundings, sensory, whether it be, spiritual, whether it be intuition to higher self, whether it be like anything in front of you, the things people aren't saying, the subtleties, the nuances, like you can feel it all. And so rather than being told you're too sensitive or you need to get thicker skin or whatever it is that we were told, it was our superpower, but it wasn't fostered, it wasn't cultivated, it wasn't understood either. Like that's the other thing, it was never fully understood. But once you know that you have that, if you can view it as a gift, if you can understand your nervous system and what it needs to be okay, if you can understand boundaries and balance and service of self and energy clearing and releasing and protecting, if you can do these pieces, you can really foster this to be such a gift.
Yeah, yeah, it's true, and oh my goodness, this must be a lose your train of thought a lot day.
You're just showing what fragmentation looks like. It's all the different parts coming out,
It is. It's like this is a topic I could talk about for hours, and all of a
right?
sudden it's like, it's gone.
Hey, because maybe you've released it. That was part of your transmutation. Now it's gone. This is what it looks like in real time.
Yep. Well, that would be lovely. Yeah. But yeah, the whole being shamed constantly for
Yeah.
being, too sensitive, or being the one who calls out
Yeah.
the dissonance, the one who calls out the stuff that just doesn't feel right. And then you
Yeah.
get snapped back into line pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
You're gaslit. You're told that that's not the way it happened, or you're remembering it wrong, or you're
Yeah.
just wrong. Period. And you're
Hmm.
yelling, you getting yelled and screamed at, and there's a lot of rage and fear, and you just wow, yeah, like so you really
Yeah.
really learn not to trust yourself because you're being
Totally.
lied to basically all the time. You're
Yeah.
being told that your perception is wrong. And
Yeah.
when you're told that from a very young age all the way through, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
So,
And the beliefs about yourself that form those core shame beliefs are I'm not enough, I'm unlovable, I'm broken, something's wrong with me, I'm different, I'm too much, I'm not
yep,
worthy, I'm such a disappointment. Why can't I be like other people? I mean, those are the beliefs, right? And the beliefs around needs are my needs don't matter. My
yep,
feelings are a burden because they were a burden. I was felt all the things all the time. And so they were a burden for other people that didn't have this thick nervous system container to hold them,
yep,
or the beliefs about needs around I shouldn't need help, right? Or if I show emotion, I'll be rejected. Or I have to handle everything alone. Many of us are internalizers and suppress all of those down, which is why a lot of women in perimenopause and menopause finally go, who the heck am I? What just happened? What roles have I been playing? It's why we see more autoimmune disorders. It's why we see more neurological disorders and more hormonal imbalances, is because of these suppression of emotions, this rejection of emotion being allowed.
yep, yeah, yeah. It's a big knot to unwind. It really,
Huge knot with everything attached to it. And that's how things store in our body with all these attachments and associations to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's one of the things I say like there's always the holistic approach, right? So part
Hmm.
of that approach, I tell my clients, um, is when you go home, and I mean, you can have, we need help on all levels of, every plane of existence. We need help. So, you know, counseling is golden because I had no idea what had just happened to me. And so my level of vocabulary has increased a lot in the last 6 months, psychological vocabulary. But so many people don't know what is happening. And I felt like my experience was right out of a freaking textbook. Like
Hmm.
my head was spinning. I was like, what the heck? I think it's still spinning because I'm off track again. There's so much, like,
We
there's so
trust the
much I want
process.
to
It's for
say.
a reason.
It's all clogged up in there. But it, like, stuff like that, it also, like, it can also cause, like, complex PTSD, right? And you can carry
Absolutely.
that through your whole life and have no idea.
Yeah, and many of us are living in chronic nervous system states anyway, right? And probably have been since we were children. And the
Yeah.
world just keeps getting more overstimulating, more sensory based, more neurotypical, more systems based. And most of us don't function in that way. And
Yeah.
so it's like creating us to feel like these are individual problems and we should feel shame when actually these are collective and systemic problems that need to be really taken care of. Like things need to shift.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Well, you know what? This has been, I think, a pretty informative talk so far. Was there anything that you needed to get out there or say before we wind this up?
More just I didn't really draw attention too much to the nervous system around like fight, flight, freeze, and fawn that many of us like when you were just speaking about how when you were going through it, you're like, well, I didn't know what was happening, right? So when we start questioning things, when we start noticing our emotions are popping up, when our nervous system is wanting us to bring these layers forward, it could be through dreams, it could be through different thought patterns, it could be through emotions that are coming forward that are flooding. But the number one reason people don't like to approach these things is that they are worried that once they open the gates, they won't be able to shut them again. And although there's truth to that, because you'll be on different levels of consciousness, if you do it with people that are supportive and you have a protective community, they can help you get through that piece and help work with the nervous system responses because we don't choose nervous system responses. They're very reactive in nature. And so, mine was always freeze response. So I would quite literally freeze. And so I wouldn't be able to externalize what I was feeling or thinking or anything like that. And many of us move to fawn responding too, which is more like in order for me to be safe, I need to make sure everybody else is okay. And so noticing where you fit in your nervous system responses and noticing those core beliefs and those neural scripts that you're carrying that are perpetuating shame, fear, and guilt, and working with the body on releasing any of the somatic and stored trauma, working with your energy, which is so crucial in this, protecting, releasing. And then, the soul, the spiritual, the spirit side can't be ignored. It's a huge part of the process as well, but it's the path to liberation is to have to face the shadows. We don't just get to be all in love and light as much as I would love that and wished for that for humanity. Unfortunately, we have to, fortunately and unfortunately, we have to see the shadows to get to the other side. So face those inner child pieces, face those shadows that you're carrying that you have lots of shame with. Do it with a supportive group and, ascension, liberation, trusting in your intuition, embodiment, all of these things will follow.
Yeah. Woo. Throat chakra's drying up now.
Yeah. And it's not linear. That's the last thing. It's not a linear process. It's like dipping in and out
It's a
constantly. It can
spiral.
feel really up and down. It can feel very spirally. And it's like normalize the process is that you will go into compression, you will go into expansion, into compression, into expansion. So it's a little bit of an up and down battle.
Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster, but I can tell you with every spiral you come out of or every contraction or whatever, however you set it,
Hmm.
you get a little bit lighter.
You do.
And you know what? And you're right. If you have the right team of people around you, whether it's people you're paying or just friends,
Yeah.
like minded souls who are in a similar
Yes.
frequency and going through similar things,
Yeah.
then it's a lot easier. And,
Yes.
I've been so blessed to have you in my back pocket. And I also, because you're my friend, you're not my official counselor, but
Yeah.
you're you're my friend, so I get free stuff.
And vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. We help each other out.
Yeah.
Um, but I do have a wonderful counselor out of Toronto who specializes in narcissistic family systems and the scapegoated child. So that's those are the ones that are waking up right now, is
Yeah.
the scapegoated child.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, if anybody is interested in finding out more or talking to either one of us, Jodie or myself, um, Jodie's also very deeply spiritual, so she knows her stuff. Please reach out, and I will put contact information in the description below. And my stuff is all in the bio, so you can reach out to me if you like. I'm feel like I'm really going down this inner child thing. So, and we do it for a reason. Like once you come through it, then you're there to help others through too. So,
Yes, our
and I
being is
feel
so
like there's
important.
probably a few more of these in our future, Jody, together, because
Absolutely.
yeah, next time I'm gonna actually make points so I remember what I'm wanting to talk about, because that's kind of
It's
scattered.
okay to just be real and authentic and organically let it come up the way it wants to.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you for the reminder. Get out of control, Joanne.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, protective part, Joanne, that thinks you need to be perfect. No, you do not. You need to show realness because this world needs
Exactly.
more real.
Yeah. We all need to be real, but we're afraid to be real
I
because we
know.
always were afraid to be in trouble.
I know.
Like I always felt like we were wrong when we were kids.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Now just be real. Just be imperfectly us. That's what we're supposed to be. That is our being. That's supposed to help other people match that frequency.
Yeah. And you know what? The best thing you can do for your inner child is go out and have fun. Do
Yes.
things that bring you joy and remember what it was like to be a child.
Yes.
Hopefully you had some memory of good stuff, but yeah.
Before you were
Um,
conditioned.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's time to uncondition and reparent ourselves.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
With lots of love and grace and compassion. That's what it is needed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much for
much,
having
Jody.
me. Thanks.
Yeah, let's do this again. We'll come out with
Absolutely.
another topic and yeah.
Sounds
But thank
good.
you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Take care.